The Super Bowl has a nasty habit of taking a guy you trust every Sunday and turning him into a blank line on the score box. Let's start with the quickest disappearance you'll ever see, a starting quarterback who left the Super Bowl without completing a pass. Tony Eason. Super Bowl 20 should have been about the 1985 Bears, and it was, but it also became the clearest example of how the Super Bowl can erase basic quarterback function. New England wasn't supposed to win, everybody knew that, but you still need a quarterback to establish some basic offensive function. Tony Eason never got that chance. 6 pass attempts, 0 completions, and he's out of the game early. He's still the only quarterback in Super Bowl history to finish with 0 completions. That's a stat line that barely feels real for a starting quarterback in the biggest game of the year. But the worst part is, it's not like he was out there throwing 4 picks trying to be a hero. He just couldn't get anything going. No rhythm, no settling drive to calm the offense down. Chicago's defense was built to do this. The Bears could win with 4 rushers, and that changes everything. When a defense doesn't have to blitz, your first read disappears faster because the coverage can stay tight and the linebackers can sit in lanes. So Eason drops back, looks up, and if the window isn't there, the second option is usually a hit. That's the part casual fans miss. The feeling that every extra half second is punishment breaks you more than the actual sack. And once that starts, the game speeds up in your head. Your feet get jumpy, your eyes drop. The timing that got you there vanishes. In a normal week, you might survive that with a couple quick throws, a screen, maybe a run game that buys you time. In this matchup, New England's offensive line was unmatched, and the Bears were already up and hunting. There's no slow start in the Super Bowl, and the other team is playing like a historic defense. That's what disappeared looks like at the extreme. No completions means no confidence building. No confidence means every series feels like a crisis, and now the whole game plan becomes emergency football. From here, we go to a veteran quarterback who stayed in longer, but every extra snap just created another turnover. Alright team, here's the play. I'm going for 1,000 subscribers. Smash that subscribe button and let's score this together. Greg Morton in Super Bowl 12 is the flip side of the same problem. He's not a young guy getting tossed into the blender. He's a veteran on a Broncos team that needed him to do the simplest job in football. Keep the game within reach and avoid feeding a Dallas defense that lived off of mistakes. Instead, the stat line is brutal. 4 completions on 15 attempts, 39 yards, and 4 interceptions. Morton's 4-interception day set a Super Bowl record at the time. He eventually gets benched for Norris Weesey. That's the kind of box score that makes it look like he forgot how to play quarterback overnight. The reality is Dallas made every dropback feel like a trap. The Cowboys' Doomsday defense could pressure you, but what really kills quarterbacks is pressure plus uncertainty. When you're getting heat and you're also seeing post-snap movement, your brain starts searching for answers that aren't there. You take a quick glance and think you've got a window, and then a defender is already sitting in it. That's how you end up throwing into traffic, late, from a bad base, with the defense breaking on the ball like they knew the route. And once you're behind in a Super Bowl, the math changes. You can't just run the ball and punt and wait for something good to happen. Every possession starts to feel like it has to produce points, and the defense knows it. That's when the pocket starts lying to you. You think you've got time, you hitch, and the edge is collapsing. Or you think you have to force something before the rush gets there, and you gift wrap another interception. Morton's disappearance is different from Eason's. Eason vanished because the game never even started for him. Morton vanished because the game plan stopped existing. It turned into survival snaps, desperate throws, and a defense dictating everything about the tempo. That's the common thread so far. When a defense can win up front and disguise behind it, quarterback experience doesn't save you. It just means you stay on the field long enough to pile up the damage. Cam Newton. Cam Newton walking into Super Bowl 50 felt like a final exam for the new QB idea. He had the massive arm and the built-in run game that made Carolina's offense go. Their whole identity in 2015 was that Cam didn't just run an offense, he was the offense. So when people talk about him disappearing in that game, I think they miss what actually happened. He didn't vanish on the stat sheet in the way Tony Eason did. He got squeezed until he stopped playing like himself. Denver hit him early, and they kept hitting him. Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware were winning off the edge without Denver having to send extra rushers. That matters more than any single sack, because it changes the numbers everywhere else. If 4 guys are getting home, the coverage can stay patient. The windows are tighter and the receivers are covered longer. Every time the quarterback holds it for an extra beat, the rush gets another chance to wreck the play. Carolina kept ending up behind the chains too. You'd see a first down go nowhere, a short gain, then suddenly it's 3rd and long and everybody in the building knows the ball has to come out. That's when pass rushers tee off. And when your protection is leaking, the quarterback starts playing a different game than the play call. Instead of read the concept, it becomes find a safe place to stand and hope a route pops open. The turning points weren't subtle. Von Miller stripped Cam Newton twice. The second one was recovered at the Carolina 4-yard line, and it basically sealed the game. Denver got short fields, and the whole game tightened one snap at a time. When you give an elite defense points and field position, you're handing them permission to stay aggressive. They can keep the same coverage shells while attacking the pocket. They never have to worry about getting bored. The disappeared part shows up in the little choices. Hesitating on throws he usually rips. Checking it down when the offense is built to punish you vertically. You could see him trying to get to the next play without giving the defense another free shot. Even his runs didn't feel like they had the same violence to them. He'd pull it down, then you'd see him think twice because the edge was already there, closing like a door. And I'll say this clearly, because the internet always wants a single villain. This wasn't Cam being soft, or Cam forgetting how to play football. Denver had one of the nastiest defensive units we've seen in the modern Super Bowl era, and Carolina's protection didn't hold up. When the pocket is collapsing and your first read is covered, you're basically being asked to make perfect decisions at full speed while getting hit. Cam Newton didn't disappear because he lacked talent. He disappeared because the Broncos took away his usual escape routes and forced him to live in a version of quarterbacking Carolina didn't want to play. Kerry Collins. Kerry Collins in Super Bowl 35 is what happens when you walk into the building with momentum and the other team changes the rules on you. The Giants had just handled the NFC title game and Collins looked settled. Quick decisions and confident throws that make you think, okay, this is the moment. Then Baltimore showed up with a defense that didn't just cover, they hunted. Pre-snap looks didn't match the reality after the snap. Safeties rotated late and corners sat on routes. And the Ravens were so fast to the ball that even a complicated pass felt like you were losing time. The baseline is ugly. 4 interceptions, 15 of 39 for 112 yards, and no offensive touchdowns. And what makes it feel worse is how quickly it turns from stay close to you're dead. Once a defense scores, you're chasing a different kind of game. A pick six doesn't just add points, it steals your ability to be patient. Now every drive feels urgent, and urgency makes quarterbacks do dumb math. Baltimore punished late throws, especially over the middle. Collins would hit the top of his drop, hitch, and the lane he thought was there was already closing. That's the trick. The defense makes the quarterback late, then acts like the throw was obvious all along. And then the short fields start attacking. You give an offense the ball near midfield, they don't need a masterpiece, they need a couple plays. Then your defense is right back on the field, tired and angry. Meanwhile, your quarterback is back out there feeling like he has to erase points with one throw. That's what disappeared looks like for Collins. The middle of the field disappears, the clock feels faster, and the game stops being about running your offense. It turns into damage control, and against the Ravens defense, damage control was just another way to end up throwing the ball to the wrong color. John Elway. John Elway in Super Bowl 24 is one of the hardest ones to talk about, because it's a blowout involving a legend. The box score makes it look like he never belonged on the same field. Denver gets smashed 55-10, and Elway finishes 10 of 26 for 108 yards with 2 interceptions. He also got sacked 4 times and lost a fumble. When you see that next to his reputation, it feels like the Super Bowl exposed something. I don't think that's the right read. This game is what happens when the opponent can score in chunks and also keep your offense in a permanent bad script. San Francisco jumps on Denver early, and once you're chasing points against that 49ers team, you're basically telling their defense what's coming. Obvious passing downs pile up. The rush can play aggressive while the coverage jumps routes. The whole field shrinks because you're trying to get back in the game in one quarter. And the 49ers weren't sitting back. They were driving on throws, crowding concepts, forcing Elway to hold the ball or throw it into contested windows. That's the part that turns a quarterback into a ghost. Elway's value was always tied to the idea that if you cover it, he'll buy time, he'll find something late, he'll rip a throw that shouldn't exist. In this Super Bowl, there was no space for that to breathe. Every position felt like you were down 2 scores, because you were. Denver also had no way to slow it down, no sustained drives or field position flips to let the game reset. When you're constantly in pure pass mode, defenses don't have to guess. They can play downhill and make you live with small completions that don't matter. That's why the stat line looks empty. The empty stat line reflects a total absence of leverage rather than just missed throws. Elway didn't disappear because he forgot how to play. He disappeared because the matchup removed his escape hatch and the score removed his patience. That's the pattern across all 5 games. The Super Bowl can take away the first read and the protection of a normal game script, and even a famous quarterback can turn into a box score warning label. It's not about talent fading, it's about a defense winning up front and coverage staying tight. A couple of early mistakes flip the entire game into an unwinnable script. When that happens, the guy you trusted all season can look like he's playing a sport he's never seen before. Drop a comment with the legend you think disappeared the worst, and who you'd swap into this list. If you want more breakdowns that focus on what actually caused the outcome, hit subscribe and I'll keep making these.